All right, should be good to go.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Eric. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Town Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for February 23rd, 2022. At this time, we're going to do Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Noreen, could you do the roll call, please?
Certainly. Chairman Payne,
Here.
Commissioner Claffey, Commissioner Haggerty, Commissioner Havens,
Commissioner
Commissioner
Haggerty
Leonard.
called, and he couldn't make it tonight with work schedule. He may be late.
Okay,
Thank you.
Commissioner Linares,
Here.
Commissioner Trister,
Here.
Commissioner Woods,
Here.
Commissioner Braverman, Commissioner Gill.
Here.
And we have a new commissioner, Commissioner Drodes, I believe is
Oh,
here.
okay. Okay,
He's here.
Thank you.
okay.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to put Commissioner Gill in for Commissioner Haggerty, please. If you could note that on the record. And
I will.
Mr. Chairman, I'm in attendance.
oh, you are, Brian. Okay,
Yep.
very good.
Yep, sorry about that.
That's okay. Gil will stay as an alternate and Brian Haggerty will be sitting. Very good. Thank you, Brian.
Is Commissioner Claffey? I didn't get a response from him.
He is here.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
here.
fine.
I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Okay,
Thank you, Noreen.
you're welcome.
So at this time, I'll ask Renata if there's any changes. We've had a couple minor changes to the agenda, but everybody should have the second amended agenda in front of them. But I'll ask the town planner if there's any other changes.
There are no other changes. Like you said, there were a couple of changes that when we added a couple of documents after the agenda went out, we did not include in your physical packet the copy of the traffic report because it was too voluminous. So we had to email that document out to you, and that was posted with the posted packet online. And I'm talking about the traffic report for the petition 04/2022. We also did not include in the original packet the version that included the architectural observations that was added last week, I believe on Friday or Thursday, immediately after we sent the packet out. And then yesterday we amended the agenda to exclude the application 0622 site plan modification at 33 Charles Street for the Weber and Doreen Carroll applicants. So that petition was withdrawn yesterday.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much for that update, Renata. I appreciate it. And at this time, we'll go to public participation for items not listed on the agenda. Within the Zoom application, raise your hand if you'd like to participate during public participation. If calling into Zoom meetings by telephone, dial *9 to raise your hand. To be recognized, use *6 when recognized to speak by telephone. Please state your name and address for the record. Eric, is there anybody wishing to speak out there?
There's a few people in the room, but none of them have their hand raised.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Do we have any remarks from commissioners? Okay, hearing none without any objection, we'll go to our public hearings. Before I do, could I have the Commissioner Havens, if you could read the procedures for our public hearings, please.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Procedures for public hearings. The order of proceedings and public hearings shall be as follows. A, convening by chairman. B, reading of the notice by the commission secretary or commissioner designated by the chairman to act in his stead. C, identification and location of property involved by the town planner. D, a statement of the issue to be considered by the chairman or the town planner. E, presentation by applicant, limited to 20 minutes unless a specific extension is granted by the chair. F, persons wishing to speak in favor of the application, limited to 2 minutes per person. G, persons wishing to speak in opposition to the application, limited to 3 minutes per person. H, rebuttal by the applicant, limited to 5 minutes total. I, rebuttal by the opposition, limited to 5 minutes total. During a public hearing, it shall be within the discretion of the chairman whether the time limitations should be varied slightly, provided the commission consents to any such variance. In no case shall an extension be for more than 20% of the allotment indicated above, or 1 minute, whichever is greater.
Very good. Thank you very much, Commissioner Havens. Okay, and if I could have Commissioner Lenars, if you could read the first petition, petition 0322, please.
Absolutely. I can read it for you.
Thank you.
Petition 03-22, special permit, section 3.2.1, to allow a church at 425D New Britain Avenue, applicant and contact Shirley Navarez, owner, Newington Thai LLC. Mr. Chairman, before we get going on this one, I'm going to actually recuse myself from sitting on this one, just due to the fact that I am the abutting property owner that shares an easement, obviously, with this property. So respectfully, I'm going to recuse myself, and good luck to all involved.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Lenars. And so at this time, I'm going to put Commissioner Gill in for Commissioner Lenars on this application, if you could please note that.
Yep.
And I will turn it over to the applicant for a presentation now.
Shirley, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Hi.
Hi, Shirley. If you could explain a little bit of what you're doing and a little bit about your operation, please, so that we have an idea of what's going on, I'd appreciate it.
Hi. Is I'm sorry, I received a call. So it's like a church is for operated 3 days in a week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays in the afternoons. The service is taken at 7:30 to 9:30. It's a religious. What the more information you need to know?
So Tuesday, could you go over the days and the hours of operation?
Okay, it's Tuesdays, Thursday, and Saturdays. The 3 days, they start at 7:30 to 8 is the night service. Sometimes the more is like a 9:30, the more late. The service is like a 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours and a half. Yeah, but 3 days a week.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us? I mean,
For now, I'm start, with the church. It's a little church. It's only like very little people because I come on this side to put a church because I have another church in the different place in Haiti, Colombia. So now we start here. That's why it's a little now, so I'm starting with this here.
okay.
I'm a pastor, I'm a pastor for 5 years, but I'm different places. So I come, put a church, so I'm put somebody here, I'm moving. That's my work.
Okay. there's not a lot of parking spaces over there, but it appears that at night you'll be using them. You realize that you don't have permission to park across at the budding property. It's only a cross easement, correct? You realize that?
Yes, I have a 22, usually the parking in there, I have like a 22 space. So for the parking, I have, is a 4 tenants, but they business operating in the day. And one is take out food. So it's a pizza, the pizza place, that's for takeout. And the other place go at 6, they close at 6 p.m. So that's why it's work, because it's 22 and my church is little, so I don't have more than 15, 16 people. So,
Okay, very good. Thank you for clarifying that. I'll turn it over to the town planner.
I can speak to this, Dominic.
Very good, Eric. Thank you.
So I did the parking calculation based on what she told me of 16 people, and in the staff report, it says that, you know, there should be enough parking there, even with the overlap in business hours at some points in time. There should be sufficient parking, you know, with that 15 or 16 attendees per service. So this site plan was priorly approved by the commission for 4 units in this building, and that was it was the mixed use at the time, and the parking spaces that exist currently are what was approved, and they were appropriate at the time.
And there is probably room to expand from the 4 parking spaces, since the hours of operation are different than the other tenants. Correct, Eric?
Yes, like she said, I think I put in the staff report that a couple of the businesses closed between 6 and 7. The pizza place, as we know, is open later, and I believe the tattoo shop is open till 9 on some days, and they do appointments as well. So there could be time where there could be some additional overlap.
Okay.
Time. And as Mr. Linares pointed out, there is a cross access easement to access the property with the adjoining property at 431.
Right.
And as you pointed out, Mr. Chairman, that, you know, people at the 425 address can't be parking on the other property.
Very good. Thank you for clarifying that again. I appreciate that. I'll ask the commissioners, do you have any questions at all for Eric or the applicant? Any questions from the commissioners? Okay, well, hearing no questions, I will go to the public. I'll ask the public, is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this application? Please raise your hand.
No one has their hand raised at the moment.
Okay. Anybody wishing to speak in opposition?
Again, no one with their hand raised, Chairman.
Is there anybody wishing to speak? If not, then if there's no objections from the commissioners, I would entertain a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made by Commissioner Havens. Do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
And seconded by Commissioner Woods. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? The motion carries unanimously to close petition 0322. Okay, the next public hearing is petition 0422, a special permit, section 3.192, to allow residential development in a PD zone at 227 Payne Road and 253 Miceli Road. Applicant and contact, Timothy Hensey, owner, White Birch Crossing LLC. At this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Vice Chairman Claffey. I am a property owner in this application, and I am recusing myself. I am recusing myself as I have always done on any vote involving my properties. In response to the email from Mr. Sweeney, I am not the applicant. Myself and Mrs. Linda Aida are the sellers of this property, and our involvement with the property ends there. I do not know what my property has to do with Culver Street, the Culver Street property, and his made-up conspiracies and false gossip that several people have been shopping around town is inconsiderate, offensive, and disrespectful to myself and to the other members of this board. Vice Chairman Claffey, you have the meeting now. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Payne. So it's been read in for this petition 04-22. Before I move forward, I would ask that the town planner, if she may, just explain in very brief, basically the special exception and how the special exception and later on information of site plan may come in this discussion that we're about to be presented in their presentation. And if you would, Renata, just quickly how the commission acts on just the special exception, even though we may, as a commission, hear in the presentation about a site plan that's later in the agenda.
Sure.
Then I'll move it very briefly, and then I'll move it forward to the presenters.
Sure. So every special permit application comes with a requirement that it be submitted with associated site plan. So each time you have a special permit application, the commission may require that a site plan be submitted with it. Each time a special permit requires a development or is associated with any kind of development plan, you get a site plan with it. The applicant will, in a minute, essentially ask you if you would like to have a presentation presented to you essentially together, if you would like to hear the whole presentation presented to you together, whether you want to hear a special permit and the site plan presentation presented to you as one. The subject of the public hearing is a special permit application. The site plan application is administrative. It is an application that if it meets our regulation, essentially it has to be approved. The commission does not have discretionary rules as it does with special permit application. So the applicant, once they ask you, you will have a choice to say, yes, please present it to us together, or you can say, no, please present to us just the special permit application. And in that case, they will present special permit with some aspect of the site plan, because you still have to, in order to understand the development, have some elements of the site plan. And then you will have a site plan presentation presented to you yet another time, twice, as a separate presentation later on. What is important to understand is, as a commission, when you vote, to distinguish between what's pertinent to the special permit and what's pertinent to the site plan part of this approval. The public, the normal person does not, who doesn't deal with these kind of things, do not know that. So the public will, when they hear the presentation, probably comment on matters that belong to special permit as well as to site plan. But you as a commission must make a distinction between which belongs with which part of this application.
All right, thank you. I do see, and I will go briefly to Commissioner Woods, who raised his hand. If you have something to say now, or do you want to just wait till they start?
I'd like to go now, Commissioner Claffey. It's really just a point of order.
Okay.
While the chairman stepped out of the meeting, and I think he did so appropriately,
Yes.
no one was really officially appointed.
Nope, you're exactly right. It is on my list. I apologize for that.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that we do that.
Thank you, Mr.
Yep.
Woods, Commissioner Woods.
And if I may, Mr. Claffey, just while you're on that point, if you're going to reseat Mr. Linares, you probably need to do that too. I know he.
I'll reseat him. Okay, so point of order. I apologize to everyone waiting patiently. I would like to reseat Commissioner Linares and remove Commissioner Gill, and we will seat for Commissioner Payne. We'll seat Stuart Droz to act on his behalf or in the meeting. Excuse me.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you. And if anyone raises their hands, and like my screen is a split screen, so sometimes I see, like I saw Commissioner Woods because he was up, but if Eric, you see somebody that I can't, just
I will certainly do that, Chairman.
and now I'd like to give the floor to the applicants for petition 0422 to present and how they like to proceed, and then I'll ask the commission again if they want it together or separate. So
very good. Thank you very much, commissioners. Can you all hear me?
yes.
I would like to request to share my screen if that's possible.
Absolutely, Frank. You should be good to go.
Frank, if
Very
you
good.
could, Frank, just state your name and who you represent for the record.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep, I just wanted to make sure you saw. All right, for the record, my name is Francis Vaca. I'm a licensed professional engineer for the BSC Group in Glastonbury, Connecticut. I'm here on behalf of Smith Hensey Developers. I have with me this evening Mr. Timothy Hensey. He is one of the principals at Smith Hensey. I also have on the call today Paul Bailey and Susan Odell. They are both representatives of Paul B. Bailey Architects, who are responsible, obviously, for the development of the building architecture. And I also have representatives from Hardesty Hanover, who are the engineers responsible for the development of the traffic study associated with this parcel. We are here to present the Pike, which is a Payne Road residential development at 227 Payne Road and 253 Miceli Road. At this point, I would like to turn it over to Mr. Hensey as the developer to just give a brief explanation of the building program and the development, to kind of touch on the master plan of the development associated with this, which is one of the requirements of section 319(2). So Tim, if you're available.
Yeah. Before Tim speaks, may I ask to the commissioners that are acting tonight, do you want to hear it to get these two things together like our town planner had asked, or do you want them separate? In the past, we've done I think everything. There's been a few exceptions, but we've run things like this together, and then we just know that we have to vote them separately. Commissioner Woods.
I prefer that we do them together. I understand those two need to vote separately, but they intermix, and it's much easier to take them as one than it is to try to separate it.
Okay. Anybody else? Hearing none and seeing no hands, proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I apologize. Tim, if you would.
Yep. Thank you, Frank. And thank you to the commissioners for hearing our proposal for the project. My name is Tim Hensey, and I'm an owner in Smith and Hensey. We are developers, apartment developers. We currently own about 1,800 apartments in New York and Florida, and we have another 1,700 either under construction or in development. Just say a little bit about my background. I grew up in Weathersfield, and my house, I could see the Berlin Turnpike from my bedroom. So it's deeply ingrained with me. I appreciate its history and what it means to the community, both obviously Newington and Weathersfield. And as a developer and building apartments in multiple states, what we're seeing is people want to live in areas that obviously provide direct access to retail and commercial development. when we were able to look at this site and we saw that access, and combined with looking at the market, doing a detailed dive, the market study, looking at what is happening in surrounding communities with residential development, we saw this as an excellent opportunity to provide Newington with something that was greatly needed, as well as to provide people with much needed housing in the area. One of our missions as a company is we do a lot of mixed income workforce and affordable housing. And one of the things that we've tried to do here is incorporate a 10% affordable component for people earning up to 80% of the area median income. That benefits Newington's requirements to the state to provide 10% of their housing stock as affordable. We are, and we'll get into the details of it, we're building 151 apartments. These are high-end finishes. The building is being designed to be ultra energy efficient with Energy Star certification. This will we'll have very 9-foot ceilings, open floor plan apartments. There will be amenities including large lobbies, a gym, a community room, and an outdoor area that you saw on the pictures earlier. We're excited about this project. We think it'll be highly desired in the community. We love the location. My background is in urban planning. Before I was a developer, and I look at this as a great opportunity for the town, seeing what's being developed both in Connecticut and across the country. I think this is very representative of what people want and what communities need. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Frank, I'll turn it back to you.
Very good. Thank you, Tim. All right, as was discussed, I'll get to that in a second. As was discussed earlier, we are here this evening to respectfully request the approval for, at least for the public hearing portion, under section 5.2 special permit under section 319.2 for residential development in the PD zone. And then it has been already spoken about with, there is a component of this. It's also site plan approval that we'll get to that in the future. I wanted to give a quick explanation of the property just to familiarize people that haven't seen. So this is Payne Road. The Berlin Turnpike is cut off a little bit on the right-hand side over here. It's only approximately 500 feet from this area. We have the Schuco International is to the north of the parcel. To the west is the Komatsu of Newington, and to the east is the CubeSmart. Sam's Club is located to the south, and then Stu Leonard's is to the southeast. Can everyone see my cursor? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I do.
Very good. All right, so I'm going to focus again because I know that we have both the special permit and the site plan. I'm going to focus most of this on the special permit requirements, so that we're all on the same page with the public hearing portion. Some of the requirements for the special permit is minimum site acre of 5 acres. This is the boundary line associated with the property. The overall size of the property is 5.203 acres. I know that's awfully detailed. The reason why for the detail is the residential density, it's 1 unit per 1,500 square feet. So we have a total of 151 units. When you do the math, you multiply them out, it's exactly 5.20 acres for a maximum density. So we have ensured that we fit the residential density for the property. The layout of the buildings as shown here, there are two. This is going to be the building A. It's the northern building. It's an L shape. This is the southern building. It's also an L shape. They're essentially mirrored. We have included one of the other requirements for the special permit is recreation space. It's 200 square feet per dwelling unit. So we've included a large pedestrian terrace that is going to be screened from their adjacent properties. And then we are utilizing portions of the lot frontage with shade trees as a green open space. We have satisfied the requirements of the zoning regulations recreation area with these areas. It is a 4-story building as been presented earlier. So yeah, it's 4 stories. It is, there is no basement level, which is another requirement of the special permit. There is no residential units in the basement, 151 units. The property has full access to the sun on both sides, so that way there, as the sun comes from the east to the west, you know, it shines on one building equally as it shines on the opposite building in the afternoon. There are 240 spaces that are represented on the parcel as shown here. This meets the requirements of the, I know there has been recent changes to the zoning regulations. We ensured that all of the units, all of the parking spaces meet that unit count, so 240. We have included 25 handicap spaces, which is actually greater than the number required for Connecticut Building Code. We have included additional handicap spaces because there are a number of additional handicap accessible apartments on the ground floor. So we have a row of the handicapped right along this curve. We have a row along this curve, and then we have an assortment along the back of building B, as shown right here. We have coordinated all of this development with the town planner. We've met with her on multiple occasions. I know that one of the critical items, and we've received comments back, one of the critical items was ensuring that we have obviously fire department circulation throughout the entire parcel. So I got the information for the largest fire apparatus for the town. We ran that throughout the entire parcel. We have ability to access through the courtyard area to come back down and to exit. There have been some additional comments that we are going to address with the response to our engineering comments. We will add some additional turnings to ensure that we have access throughout the entire property and throughout the buildings associated with fire department access and circulation. The dumpster for the property is located over in this area. It is fully screened. It has at this point, either a 6 to 8 foot vinyl screening fence with a double enclosure. It is 2 units, one for recycling, one for trash. And then we will have the circulation flow pattern for that is the waste vehicle will enter the site, circulate around the bottom half of the parking area here, be able to remove the trash and then exit. Utilities for the site, which are another component of the special permit. We received a letter from MDC that indicates that there are adequate fire suppression services available on Payne Road and on Miceli. I believe it's a 24-inch water main, and they did not have any concern as far as providing fire support service for this. As part of the requirement for a 4-story building, we do need standpipes in the building, so we have ensured that there will be standpipes provided for all of the stairwells in the 2 buildings. We have provided fire department connections, so there would be a connection in this location on the building adjacent to the mechanical room. There would be another fire department connection adjacent to this mechanical room here. Both have direct access to the street, which is favorable to the fire department. They don't have to enter the site to reach the fire department connections. One comment that was addressed by the fire marshal, he addressed it to us, that we've already taken care of, is there was a request for an additional fire hydrant provided for the bottom of the property. We have included that in the latest set of plans that you've seen. It's going to come off of Miceli Road along this path, and it will ultimately connect in, and it will be located somewhere in the vicinity, the northern end of this I-shaped parking island in this location for direct access from the fire department. There is a 10-inch sewer main along Payne Road up on this side. It is substantially lower. It's about 10.5 feet below grade, so we have no issue as far as getting to sanitary with greater than a 2% slope. So we're not cutting it too close in that regard. And then detention systems, we have the overall site is we have reduced the peak flow from the site. So it's as if this parcel doesn't exist from a stormwater design standpoint. I know that there was a question at what point about drainage calculations. The drainage calculations for the site have been provided. However, the details of the underground detention systems have not been provided. That is part of the engineering comments that I mentioned earlier. They will be responded to. We received them after we sent this information back to the commission out last Thursday. So all of those comments will be addressed and sent back to engineering for formal approval. We do not have any concern with any of the comments that they have laid out to us. So we're going to address all of those comments in addition to the comments that we received from Eric and the town, and then the comments from the fire marshal. There is a monument sign currently proposed. It is going to be in accordance with the town standard, the 75-foot square foot and 75 square foot on either side to the maximum 150. We don't have a formalized design of it yet. That is still under discussion, but we do know that it will be in accordance with the standard. All of the lighting will be, there won't be any uplighting or any of that type of stuff. That will be finalized and coordinated. And if there are any, that will obviously be addressed with the town should anything change, but we will meet the requirements of the regulation. We are using all LED energy efficient lighting. These are the current styles that we are showing. So there is a wall mount. There are a few wall mount locations of lighting under, or I should say over some of the egress doors associated with the property. The smaller light you see here is one of the bollard mount lights that will be located throughout the terrace area, and then these would be they're 16-foot LED traditional style like lamp post LED posts. So it'll be all of those areas that are represented in yellow on this plan represent the location of these LED lights. We ran a photometrics of the plan. They will be formally updated as when we respond to the engineering comments, but I can guarantee you that none of the lights that have been shown in the proximity of any of the boundaries will have any throw over the boundary of the property. So there will be zero candle power exiting the property. As far as landscaping for the property, we have ensured that all of the landscape islands throughout the interior portions meet the requirements of the town regulations, which is why it's shown as it is. We have low shade trees placed throughout the entire property to minimize the heat island effect within the parking areas. We have a substantial amount of like shrub type bush area landscaping along the buildings to break up the feel along the buildings themselves. We have plantings and so on throughout the terrace area. I will note these are not all going to be Japanese maples. They're just to represent a smaller type shrub type tree throughout this area. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we are providing full screening with our landscaping around the terrace area for privacy for residents utilizing this area. Street trees along the boundaries, and then we have provided screening trees along the western portion of the property to screen any of the adjacent property, the Kubota dealer to the adjacent side. Appropriate screening around utilities. These are the locations of the transformers. We have to maintain a certain distance for Eversource access, but they will be screened to the best that we can, our best of our ability in this case. And then there will be a 6-foot white vinyl fence along the southern property line to provide screening from the adjacent commercial development to the south. Snow storage locations, I know that's always been a critical issue. We will be utilizing a large number of the end island portions of the lot to be used for snow storage. We've specifically located a lot of the lamp posts away from ideal locations for snow storage locations. And then we have also, I've coordinated, we have in-house landscape architecture at BSC. I've confirmed with them that there is not an issue with us placing the snow adjacent to any of the trees that are located, the shade trees on the islands. And then clearing of the courtyard area, we are utilizing the smaller portion on our property over here to be some of the snow storage location to be transferred over there. Again, ideally ensuring that we maintain access for fire vehicles. I would like to mention, and later on when we have the representatives from Hardesty Hanover speak briefly on the traffic, there is a right turn in, right turn out requirement for access onto Payne Road. This Payne Road access is actually provided for the site to ensure that we maintain, to meet the requirements of zoning, to ensure that we have a connection onto, I don't remember the exact language, but it's making sure we have a connection for our site onto a street that is directly connected to the Berlin Turnpike, which is why we have maintained this access. But due to its proximity to the intersection and due to the queuing that could potentially occur as a result of people turning left into the site, we are going to mandate this be a right turn in, right turn out condition. There was a comment from Gary, the engineer, regarding access to this to make sure that this actually works. We are modifying the layout of this to ensure that we have direct access from the fire vehicle, as well as providing a full 6-inch curb for the right turn out to ensure, well, again, ensure it, to maintain to the best of our ability a condition where we will not have left turning out or left turning in. So that design is being finalized and will be included with the response to the comments to the engineer. I have spoken to Gary about it. I've reviewed all of the remainder of his comments, and I do not have a concern as far as addressing the remainder of his comments. At this time, I'd like to turn the floor over to Mr. Greg Del Rio from Hardesty Hanover. He's going to give a brief explanation of the traffic study that was performed. I know that's always a hot button issue, so he'll review that briefly. Greg.
Thank you, Frank. So we conducted a traffic study of the adjacent roadways and intersections, including the intersections to the east and west along Payne Road. We looked at the weekday and weekend peak hours. We conducted our field observations and our trip generation for this type of residential development. And our analysis indicated that there was no significant impacts to the traffic operations. To minimize any potential impacts, the site design includes the 2 access points, which Frank just briefly mentioned, one of them, which has a off of Payne Road with a right in, right out only, meaning no left turns in or out of the site for smooth operations along Payne Road, which has higher volumes than Miceli. And then we have a full movement access drive off of Miceli Road itself, which has much lower volumes than Payne Road. Will be much easier to get in and out of from Miceli. So no traffic impacts were identified. And although there were no significant impacts, I might add, due to the development, our study did include potential adjustments to the signal at Payne and Church intersection, which is to the west, which would improve the overall operations, especially for the westbound approach. So those are being considered going forward. And that's a quick summary of the traffic issues.
Very good. Thank you, Greg. And regarding the comment on the signal, the traffic signal timing, the project team has already discussed that, and that is being considered as part of something that can be done for the future development. That was the result. That was the whole of the presentation. Obviously, I focused most of it on the special permit. I do have some additional items I could go over for the site plan review at that time, but at this point, that is the extent of our presentation for the special permit. Thank you both. Thank you all for your consideration.
All right. Well, thank you, Frank and Timothy and Greg. I appreciate the discussion on the special exception. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Renata to give us the most of the information that she has for us to discuss any engineering, any other planning stuff, and go from there. Renata?
So first of all, this was quite in-depth review of a site plan as well, as far as the presentation goes. We reviewed this application, and as of right now, we do have some comments that are outstanding. They're not few, there are some, but they're minor and technical in nature, and applicant is aware of these comments and have agreed to address them. For the most part, and in general terms speaking, they revolve around some drainage comments, some inconsistencies with notes on the plans for the engineering department. There was some discussion, as you heard, with the traffic consultant and our engineering department, and there is some agreement on those as well. So for whatever our engineering department has provided to the applicant has agreed to address on the revised plans, should the commission decide to proceed tonight and approve this. So as far as we are concerned, as far as the plan review is concerned on the technical merits, these plans the commission could effectively make a decision tonight if you want to, and we are prepared to essentially recommend a motion subject to staff memos to you tonight. We had some minor comments on the zoning end, which were already addressed. Previously, there was one unit too many, which caused them not to exceed their density limitation. They removed that one unit in order to meet the density limit, so that brought them down to meet the zoning requirements. Overall speaking, this proposal, what is important to understand here is that this is a use that's allowed under special permit in the zoning district. So you're looking at a residential use that can be permitted if the application meets a criteria of the special permit that are outlined in your regulations. So you are to consider the testimony that you heard tonight with regards to impact to traffic, with regards to whether or not you feel that this use fits. The use, I believe that it could actually turn this neighborhood from being predominantly industrial to perhaps become a little bit more of a mixed-use neighborhood and be a little bit something different in the future. And the one thing that we are learning as the time is moving with these uses is that there seems to be a need for more flexibility with regards to how uses fit. There seems to be more desire for people to live near where the shopping is, near where the main thoroughways are. So that seems to be what's driving these development proposals to the location where they are. So that's, I guess, what I could contribute to this conversation.
Okay. Well, thank you, Renata. At this time, I'd like to open up any questions that commission members have for either the applicants and or Renata, and it doesn't have to be in that order. So I do see that Commissioner Haggerty put his hand up first.
Thank you, Commissioner Claffey. I just have a question for the traffic engineer. Did your analysis take into account the development going in at 33 Turnpike?
Yes, we did. That's included in our background traffic.
All right, thank you. You go ahead. Okay,
No, I was just gonna say, we took existing traffic levels, we grew them with the background growth, and in addition to the background growth, we included the 333 development.
thank you.
All right, I'd like to go to Commissioner Trister, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Commissioner Claffey. I just have a question about the traffic study as well. In the study, it mentions like the figures were based on a projected growth rate for 2024. And the way I understood it was based on a 0.7 growth rate, which was like the state figure. I was curious if that figure factors in sort of, I know it's tough to sort of factor in for who's not driving because of COVID, but is there any extra wiggle room in the projected growth rate for potential more people being on the road as we come out of the pandemic?
So the process was, we look at adjacent traffic counts, historic traffic counts, where we can overlap and compare counts historically. And then we would adjust for a COVID factor. However, lately, because traffic has come back, and they've actually advised that this is the new norm. So, but we still look at it just to make sure that certain sites and certain places aren't completely out of whack and may still require the adjustment in this case. And so that's the decision, and that's the process.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Woods.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question actually has to do with traffic also, but the signalization up on Church Street. Can you get into a little bit more detail on what you would do to help improve that intersection? Is it purely just timing of, retiming of the light that is there now, or would there be, right turn, left turn lanes added, or is it just signalization?
It's just signalization. It's optimizing the signal right now. It's borrowing a little time from some of the movements that don't require it, and just sort of balancing all the movements approaching it and giving it mainly a little more time to the westbound approach, which needed it the most.
And can you tell me, would it change the dynamics of the intersection as far as improving it? By 1%, 2%, 5%, 10%?
Yeah, so we gave them two options. One borrows a little bit of time from some of the other movements, and it improves the average for the westbound by 10 seconds. And then there was a more aggressive sort of shifting around of phasing, which resulted in a more significant improvement and reduction of delay in the order of magnitude of 20 to 25 seconds average. So that's per vehicle. So it's a pretty large improvement. And that also knocks you down from what we have as a level of service E to a level of service D. So it actually improves the whole level of service.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Commissioner would like to ask Mr. Gill, please.
Yes, thank you. In regards to the traffic also, the new signalization on the Berlin Turnpike, is that going to tie in with the Church Street signalization?
They're not coordinated. The two intersections are separate. So Berlin is coordinated with the signals along that corridor, and the Payne Street are far enough away where they're acting as isolated intersections.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I do also have a question in regards to traffic, just because I haven't seen it nor I didn't hear it directly from you guys. When was, and in specific dates, was the traffic study conducted? And I really just want it to be put on the record for tonight.
Let me take a look.
I know it sounds like a weird request, but traffic is an issue, and I just don't want to go that you're doing a study from 2018.
No.
I know.
It was this year. It was recent. And if you give me a second, I think I should be able to. Let's see, traffic volumes, December 2021.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Does anyone else have any from the commission, excuse me, any other questions for Renata, the town planner, or any other representative from the applicant? I don't see any hands.
Yeah, John Trister has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go right ahead, John.
No worries, no worries. Sorry about that. I just had one more quick question. in regards to the school district that this located in, is it the same school district as 3333?
I think Renata would, I,
Yeah, that's probably from Renata. Sorry.
I believe that it is.
I do think it is. the same. don't
believe-
think There's a.
I believe, honestly, I believe that it is, but I think it also depends on the age of school children.
Right, of course.
So-
In terms of elementary, though, they would all, that's Patterson, I think, correct?
It's Patterson and Wallace District, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was all I was curious about. Thank you.
Without any other, Brian.
I just have,
Commissioner
I just
Harris,
have
go ahead.
one last question for the engineers there. The trees or the landscaping to the west side of the property, how tall are those trees going to be? Just, you're on the third or fourth floor looking out your window, you're going to be looking at that commercial equipment. I just didn't know, is there a concern for that, or how tall are those trees going to be?
I believe the zoning, if I remember correctly, zoning requirements call for, I believe it is a 4-foot high tree. Now I recognize in that case, that's not going to be tall enough in order to screen for someone that's living in the apartment complexes. But and there's also the issue where we've ensured that all of our accesses are farther than 5 feet away from the property line per zoning regulation, but it is tight in certain situations where if we were to use a taller tree, you run into the situation where you're going to end up having the tree growth over top of the property line, which technically can't be. You can't specify that in the beginning, although we know it always happens. But we tried to keep the plantings as screening as possible while making sure that they stay on our property the entire time.
Thank you.
Sure.
I do have one question, or one last kind of wrap up for this, but does we spoke as this is two parts as one, but does anyone have any exact concerns on the special permit side of this, or any more discussion in general as TPZ commissioners? Is there any further discussion you guys want to hold? Any other questions you might need answered?
Commissioner Braverman has his hand up.
All right, go ahead, Commissioner Braverman.
Question has to do with how will this development and 333 impact the voter rolls?
It's a good question. I don't know if we've ever been asked that. I don't know. I don't exactly know the makeup of how they calculate how many occupants might live here based on age. Maybe they have some form of a rule of thumb. I know they do for schooling when you calculate how big a building is going to be. But Frank or Timothy, do you break it down by age, or you just say, hey, it's going to be 150, units at one person a unit? Or Renata, do we have anything that you've seen in the past?
Who will be eligible to vote?
I mean,
do you have any?
I could answer it, but
in lieu that, in this town, this is currently a matter that is being discussed at the town council level, but it is not a zoning matter. It is not something that is pertinent to your decision making. It's not pertinent to the special permit nor to the site plan. How it will affect voting districts, I do not know. I guess that's a question for registers of voters. But also it's not really relevant to what you guys are voting on.
I understand. I wanted to let his question be heard. Thank you, Renata, for discussing that.
Thank you. I'm done.
Oh, no, I know. I'm just getting my train of thought here. I just want to remind everyone, or the commissioners, TPZ commissioners, that if you have any other questions or concerns, because I'm going to, if the presenters have, they're all done, I just want to make sure all the commissioners are happy with what they've heard, have their questions answered before I open it to the public.
Good, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Haven't seen none. At this time, I would like to open this public hearing for the public. Anyone, and Eric, please help me with who's on the phone or who's in the room also. There's 27 people in the room total. I would like to open it to people who would like to speak in favor of this application for special permit.
None of the attendees have their hand raised.
Okay. Okay, again, I'd like to ask anyone in favor. Last go around, I'd like to speak in favor of this.
Still no hands raised, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, sir. Now, seeing that, I would like to open it to the public for anyone who is in opposition of this petition 04-22 special permit. To feel free to raise your hand or on the phone with your star. I forgot what it was, Eric.
Yeah, again, no one has their hand raised, Mr. Chairman.
And Mr. Chair, if nobody raises their hand, we did receive a couple of letters by email. So if nobody on the public end speaks, with your permission, I'll read these.
Okay, I do see a panelist raise their hand was Commissioner.
That's Ms. Bedrejko.
Bedrejko, please feel free to.
Yeah, I'm not, right. Gail Bedrejko, 21 Isabel Terrace. I'm not in favor or against it. I just have a question that, maybe can be addressed. I think it's relevant, maybe I'm not sure, but there's going to be 151 units here. Presumably there'll be, children, young professionals, whatever. And as the applicant stated, developments like these are sought after because of proximity to retail, commercial. I'm familiar with Payne Road, but I'm not really familiar with Miceli. But the fact that this location is near Sam's Club and Stu Leonard's, are there sidewalks? Because I would imagine that people from this development would want to, walk to those locations, versus driving. I'm just not sure, given the traffic. First of all, if there is sidewalks, and if there isn't, what the traffic is on those roads, because I'm sure people will be walking to those commercial.
I would like to, in answering some of that, I would like to say, I don't think, and for as many times as I've up and down Payne Road to go to the car wash, I have yet to see any sidewalks on Payne Road currently, and I don't think I've seen any on Miceli, other than, I take that back, at the end, way down by the entry on Miceli. There's a little bit of sidewalk for Sam's Club, I think. I think it's just part of the way it's put in. I might be wrong on that. Any other the commissioners and or the planner can also.
Eric, can you bring up the Google map of this area? Just the Google area.
Just give me a minute, please.
And I don't think I don't think there was a requirement for sidewalks in the special permit application.
No, I'm not. I'm just curious as to, because I'm sure that will happen, and I was just.
Yeah, okay. I understand. We'll try to get a Google shot of it. But outside while Eric does that, Renata, is there there wasn't anything, and I don't think there was anything on the presentation itself.
I honestly, I don't remember. We will take a look at the aerial view of this area right now. I think if we are considering sidewalks, we need to consider them in a more general, broader view. One of the things that as a town we should do is formally develop and adopt a sidewalk, like town-wide sidewalk plan.
I don't think it is relevant in this presentation.
In this instance.
Because of that exact reason, Ms. Planner.
So here's the look, and I believe Mr. chairman is correct in the sidewalk assessment. There are none on Payne Road that I'm aware of. And this is Payne Road here, going in front of the property. And this is Miceli Road that takes you back into Sam's Club and Stu Leonard's.
I think it's a great
So
question,
demanding,
Ms. Pedreco, but I don't think it's relevant to this discussion due to the fact that there is not any precedent prior to this presentation of sidewalks.
Okay. Thank you.
I will go and ask, I know we did not have anyone speak in favor or speak in public opposed, but I would like to take this time to have our town planner read into the record the communications that they have received, either sent to Eric or to Renata specifically. Please read those into the record.
sure, thank you. So we received 2 emails. One of them came from Mr. Douglas Sweeney. Hi, my name is Douglas Sweeney, 10 Littlebrook Drive, Newington, Connecticut. I'm opposed to application 0422 special permit under section 319.2 to allow a residential development in the PV zone at 227 Payne Road and 253 Miceli Road. And I would like this email read into the record at the February 23rd, 2022 public hearing. The head of the Town Planning and Zoning Commission is a principal of the applicant according to the state website that registers businesses, and there is a conflict of interest. Even a judge needs to recuse himself in Connecticut for the appearance of impropriety. Then there is a link to a website on ct.gov website. Then the email continues to say, Rule 1.2 of the Code of Judicial Conduct states that a judge should act at all times in a manner that promotes public confidence in the impartiality of the judiciary and should avoid impropriety of the appearance of impropriety. And then again, there is another link at https jud.ct.gov committees/ethics/some 2013-16 HTM. Number 2, the zoning charge for Color Street apartments should be revisited in the light of this application. Thank you, Douglas Sweeney, 10 Littlebrook Drive, Newington City. The second email came from Mr. Matthew Rossi from 17 Franklin Circle. Please read this email into the minutes of tonight's meeting. Dear Ms. Bertotti, Mr. Hinckley, and Town and Planning Committee, I'm writing to you tonight because I'm unable to attend this meeting in opposition to petition 0422. I do not think this area is appropriate for apartments where children could be living. This section of Payne Road is all business and industrial. I know that the developer has said it is to attract empty nesters and young professionals, but that is what every other developer has said or claimed in their write-ups. With so many of these possible 4-story developments, I don't believe that there are that many people that fit that category to be able to occupy them all. Because of this, I also think that you have to take into consideration that there can be 2 students per each 2-room apartment. When you take this into consideration, does the amount of taxes collected cover the expenses of the occupants? Will it cover the educational needs? I fear not. Finally, the common argument that is often given by the developers and their lawyers is that this is responsibility of the town to figure out. Well, that responsibility starts tonight by not passing petition 0422. Thank you for your time and commitment. Matthew Rossi. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Renata. And I would like to say, I want to give back the time. I know they were read in the record, but if the applicant has any rebuttal to that, feel free. You have your allotted times. It's up to you if you'd like to rebut those which were read into the record and not present live. It's up to you guys, Timothy or Frank.
We do not have a response to any of those.
Okay, thank you very much. Without a rebuttal from you guys, there's no rebuttal from the public, and I don't see any other hands raised. With no objection, I would like to get to see if anyone would like to make a motion to close petition 04-22, and close it and move it to old business.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry?
Said, so moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Woods. Do I have a
Second, Commissioner Havens?
Commissioner Havens seconded? Can I get a roll call vote, please, on that? Excuse me, I had to move my screen. Noreen?
Yep. Commissioner Haggerty,
Yes.
Commissioner Havens. Commissioner Havens.
Yes.
Commissioner Linares,
Yes.
Commissioner Twister,
Yes.
Commissioner Woods,
Yes.
Chairman Claffey.
Yes, and we seated.
I'm sorry.
Commissioner Drods, please.
Right, I'm sorry.
Perfectly fine. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Unanimous.
All right, unanimous to close it and move it to old business for action tonight. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me.
Mr. Chair, can I just clarify a clarifying question? Have you
Yes.
moved both items, the special permit and the site plan, to the old business?
Very good.
So what I mean by that
Yes.
is,
I want to go ahead.
will there be no other question? Because if there are no questions for the site plan, I will remove site plan off of the new business agenda, and there will be no opportunity to ask any more site plan related questions. So you will have your deliberations, but no more questions of the applicants anymore. So if the commission is satisfied with everything that, all the conversation that happened, we can just move on and have this under old business. If you think you may still have some outstanding site plan related questions, then we can keep that on the new business agenda.
I am for that, Renata, but I'm going to open it to Commissioner Woods or anyone else. I see his hand is up.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to leave it open, the site plan approval. I do have some other questions. I knew we were going to try to take them together, but it looked like they separated.
Okay.
And I think Frank Vaca also said that he wanted to go into a little bit more detail later on the site plan. So I just have a few questions that I would like to ask after they make their presentation on the site plan.
Okay, so I will leave it as I stated. It would only move the
Sounds good.
special permit 0422 over. And then we'll continue in our normal operating procedure for the next petition. Does that answer your question, Ms. Planner?
It does. We just need to tell chairman, because I'm not sure if he will hear this part. Because he'll need to recuse himself again on the side.
I understand. We'll bring him back in for the next petition, which is item C, and then we'll reseat him, and then we'll switch back out if everyone's okay with that.
That's fine, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Let's get Commissioner or Chairman Payne, excuse me.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Claffey. I appreciate you taking care of that.
We just need you to, I'm giving up my reins to Chairman Payne for the next petition, and then we need to reseat or keep, it's up to your discretion, Mr. Payne, or Chairman Payne.
Oh,
excuse me.
yep. Yeah, so I'll be participating now, and Commissioner Drodes will be off on this petition. If I could have Commissioner Woods read petition 51-21 into the record, please.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Petition 51-21 zoning text amendments, section 7.4.6 to modify the driveway site plan design standards, applicant and contact Newington TPZ.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
And I will turn it over to our town planner, Renata, for explanation of this change.
So Eric, if you can display the text and just have that picture ready as well. So this proposal is to modify a section that deals with a site plan design standards. And one part of it is to essentially just clarify a section in the regulation that sort of, we have two sections that conflict with one another. So as we are processing these applications, we receive a couple of questions from applicants asking us, so which one is right? Is the text in the regulation correct? Or is the picture that this regulation also includes, the same regulation includes, illustrating these requirements, or is that accurate? So historically, the town interpreted this picture to be how our parking requirements, and this is on like a commercial parking lots, we would require this. So this particular thing that I'm talking about is if you look at the entrance into the parking lot, the section that says 28 feet, and then it narrows to 24 feet, or it narrows to 18 feet if it's like angled parking lot. Those are the questions that we're trying to clarify. So this picture is what we normally interpreted historically. This is how zoning officer interpreted this regulation. If you look into the text, current text on 746 of our regulation, Eric, can you show the text as revised?
This is the
It
revised.
essentially says the driveways shall be at least 28 feet from the face of the curb, and it stops there. So this language that continues, and 24 or 18 in width as shown in section 6.11C is the text that I added. So I essentially just said it's going to be 28, and then it will narrow down as shown in this picture. So this is just to clarify, relate the text to the picture and make sure that everything is clean and we have no ambiguity to that. The second part of the proposal is this section F. And under section F, our current requirement is to require that on the intersecting streets and driveways, we require this radius of the gutter to be 25 feet. So currently what you're looking on your screen is the modified, it's proposed text. But under our current regulation, we require that gutter radius to be 25 feet. So we have, when we were reviewing National Welding site, 690 Cedar Street, they came back to us and said, this is too much. This kind of 25 feet requirement is what you require between two streets. This is too excessive. So I contacted my colleagues, Public Works Director in Meriden, and I contacted another engineer that I worked with in Wethersfield and talked to them about that. And they agreed. They said, you know, that does sound too much. Normally, it depends, you know, sometimes you require less if it's certain kind of use, and if it's different kind of use, we require more. And then Gary Forsberg, our town engineer, our fire marshal, and myself discussed this, and this radius of the gutter width depends on the use of the property. So we said, okay, so when it's a residential driveway to a street intersection, it's appropriate to have a 5-foot radius. But on a street to street intersection, it's appropriate to have a 25-foot. So we said, let's take a range. Let's do 5 to 25, and then have us actually look at this on a use by use basis so that we can review this and determine which one is appropriate, because it's going to be really something that's dependent on the uses. So this allows a greater flexibility, and it's more appropriate because it's really, you know, the fixed numbers don't work in each circumstance, and they just don't work very well in these situations. So that's this proposal. It's pretty straightforward. Originally, as you may recall, when we first came to you with this proposal, I had the idea to reduce the width of the driveways to 22 feet. Our town engineer commented that he wasn't comfortable. He recommended that we keep that at 22. I think somebody on the commission also was not comfortable with reducing that to 22. So we just ditched that idea and we took it back to 24, back to, you know, where our drawing is anyways, and just made it easier at any rate. So that's that. I mean, this will just fix a small thing in my regulation, and you know, one of these like small steps that I can do to help a little bit.
Very good. Thank you very much. It is something small, but I can see where this could be very helpful for applying it to different sites depending on the use. So I can understand this completely. And at this time, I'll open it up to the other commissioners. If you have any questions for our town planner. Is there any questions for the town planner? Seeing none, we'll go directly to the public hearing. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak in favor of this?
I don't see anyone with their hands raised, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we'll give it another minute. Is anybody wishing to speak in favor of this application? Hearing none, is there anybody wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Anybody wishing to speak in opposition?
No hands raised.
Thank you, Eric.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Renata.
Just before you close the hearing, I want to report on the CROG report. I'm required to do that on the regulation amendment. So this was sent to the CROG report, and they said that they reviewed it and found no apparent conflict with regional plans and policies or concerns of the neighborhood towns. So that's it. Just CROG.
Very good. Okay, thank you, Renata. And one last time, I'll just ask if there's anybody from the public wishing to speak. This will. Hearing none. I'll ask the commissioners if they don't have any objection. I'll entertain a motion to close petition 51-21 and move it to old business.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion made by Commissioner Haggerty. Do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded by Commissioner Woods. Any discussion on this petition motion? If there's no discussion, without any objection, Noreen, could you do a roll call vote, please?
Yep. Commissioner Haggerty,
Yes.
Commissioner Havens. Commissioner Havens. Commissioner Linares,
Yes.
Commissioner Twister,
Yes.
Commissioner Claffey,
Yes.
Chairman Payne,
Yes.
unanimous.
Um,
I'm a yes. She didn't ask, but yes.
yeah, Commissioner Woods, and then,
I thought I did.
and then, what was it, Commissioner Havens? Right. Did
Yeah,
you vote?
No, I didn't hear him, an answer from him.
I think Havens was muted. Maybe.
Yeah, Garrett's muted.
Commissioner Havens, could you unmute? Commissioner Havens?
Thumbs up for yay, I guess.
Okay. Very good, Noreen. Thank you, Noreen.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, with that, we're going to go for the, we have approval of minutes is next on the agenda. We have TPZ meeting, TPZ minutes of 02/09/2022 special meeting. And we have the TPZ minutes of 02/09/2022 regular meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So
Make a
moved,
motion to
Mr.
approve.
A motion made by Commissioner Woods to approve. Do I have a second?
Second, Claffey.
Seconded from Vice Chairman Claffey. Is there any discussion or any corrections on the minutes? Hearing none, if there's no objection, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is new business. Petition 0422, site plan approval for a residential development in a PD zone at 227 Payne Road and 253 Miceli Road. Applicant and contact Timothy Hensy, owner White Birch Crossing LLC. As stated earlier, I will recuse myself from this application. Thank you. I'll turn the meeting over to Vice Chairman Claffey now to run the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to appoint Commissioner Drobbs to sit for Chairman or Commissioner Payne. With that said, I would like to have the applicants present the site plan discussion that I know we discussed a little bit, but if there's anything more that we had heard, please feel free to take a few moments or the allotted 20 minutes to present to us the site plan side of 04-22. Timothy or Frank?
Thank you, commissioners. Commissioner Woods, I apologize. I actually did pretty much the majority of everything. I guess the only clarifications I will, based on the last conversations, we do have 25-foot radii into the site to ensure that that all works. I'm looking through the commission review components of section 533 right now. All of the other components, sections 1 through 7 of that, I believe I have addressed in the previous explanation. I'm looking through. Yeah, I do not believe that. I think the only other one I may have talked about was item 6, the suitability of building design to the site. We've ensured that the building fits inside the site in such a way that it achieves the full view of the sun as had been previous discussed, and then it has been sized so that it fits within all of the relevant setbacks associated with the property. So besides that, I do not have any further information to provide with regard to the site plan for this.
All right, Frank, thank you very much. I will, before I go to the commissioners, I will ask our town planner in regards to the site plan. I think it's been discussed, but I just want to reiterate and re-verify before I head to commissioners if Renata has anything else to add. I think it's been added and discussed, but Renata, feel free if there's something that Frank may have clicked in your brain to talk about now.
So I will restate that all of the comments that we have are minor and technical in nature. The applicant is aware of that and has agreed to address them. Okay. Aside from some discussion with regards to adjusting timing in one of the intersection traffic lights, all of the other comments are really site plan related anyways. So all of the other comments that we have are related to the approval of this site plan. So that is what we're talking about to begin with. So.
Okay, well, thank you, Renata. I will move, I see the hand up of Commissioner Woods. It is yours now. Feel free to.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a couple of questions. First one is there a reason why you didn't entertain installing sidewalks on Miceli Road? And the second question, if the architect is still with you, can we get a brief description of the actual materials for like siding and what is going to be made of on the buildings? I'd like to know that.
Yes, I can start with the comment on the sidewalks. It was looked at in the beginning, however, due to what was discussed earlier in the public hearing, there are no other sidewalks in the adjacent area. I would love to say that I'm pedestrian focused, and I am with the majority of what I do. However, at the way that the layout of the adjacent areas immediately adjacent to the building are not conducive to pedestrian access. It is anticipated based on our analysis that the majority of the trips exiting the property will be by vehicle, as much as I hate to say that is the case, but that has been the main focus and the drive associated with the use of the Berlin Turnpike in this area. And that was a main reason why sidewalks were not pursued to move forward.
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Woods, excuse me. Yes.
Get the Payne Road, and that makes perfect sense to me. But I guess I'm just trying to look at that point of connection. I mean, I realize you can't make it all the way, but you can get, partially there, and then it becomes the town's responsibility to work to try to make that connection to that shopping center that is to the south. I mean, it's not a deal breaker for me, but I would like to see them. I just think it would help. And I would agree with you. I believe most of the traffic is going to be vehicular, but there will be that walking connection. And I would just feel better if we can get them pretty close to that intersection so they're now in the parking lot. And I believe on the north side of that parking lot, and I don't know why they're there, but I believe there are sidewalks on that north side of the not Costco, BJ's or Sam's or whatever the development is. That's all I'm really looking for. And then again, like I said, the building material that you plan on using on the building.
Susan or Paul, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, Frank, yeah, please move forward with the architectural little discussion, please.
Would you like me to bring up an image of the building one more time?
If you could, just so we kind of get a feel for it a little with visual instead of.
Sure, absolutely. Can you hold on? Can you see my screen again?
There, yep.
I will go back up to one of our, there we go. Susan or Paul, are you still available? Can you speak a bit about materials for the building? Susan Odell or Paul Bailey?
I see Paul is muted. If he wants to speak, he's muted.
Yeah, hi, Susan here. I'm going to defer to Paul, but he is muted. Paul, if you can unmute yourself.
I did it. Okay.
There we go.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Paul.
I'm sorry. I was trying to unmute, but it wasn't working. Well, the materials are called out on the elevations that we've submitted. I think I'd rather have the front view.
Sure, absolutely, Paul. One
Frank.
second.
But I'm happy to go through. I'm happy to go through them.
Yo me voy a salir y que sea lo que Dios quiera.
If we can, anyone who's not speaking, please mute your screen for the presenters. Thank you. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to read off of the elevation sheet. The cap, the angled cap is a metal cap flashing that's at the top of the building. Some of the details are metal trim. The brick, which you see on the lower sections of the exterior, is meant to be actual brick. There's a belt course above the brick, which is intended to be precast concrete. The rest of the siding, you see the wood type color on the top of the brick, and then there are other there's other siding. Next to the wood-like siding, which is a darker reddish, a brown reddish color. They are called out to be a Lucabond plus panel system, which is metal and composite. So it will be something like that. A Lucabond is expensive, and I know that it might not make it to the end, but it'll be something similar to that if it's not a Lucabond. But it's a metal system. The windows will be solid vinyl. The intention here is that they will be black. The iron gate that goes into the meters, the meter area, it's called out to be wrought iron, but it's not going to be true wrought iron. It'll be a wrought iron look. It'll be aluminum probably, and that will be black also. I believe I have touched on all the exterior materials. If you have any specific questions, I could certainly answer them.
And I just want to step in, Paul, sorry, it's Tim. I want to say that what our intent with this design is to kind of capture a more modern look that would be transitional for the neighborhood, especially given the surrounding uses. We're not going with kind of, your traditional kind of colonial themes you see on all the apartment buildings, but also not ultra modern, kind of a in between, fit the area, kind of character the area. But we will, obviously, I will preface by saying, we're in the time of massive, escalations in price of materials. This is the look we'll go for. It's got to be high end. It's got to look great. We're definitely in on the brick and like Paul mentioned, the metal systems. And kind of the contrasting look. But we do feel this will be a very handsome building that will fit within, be a good addition to the community.
Oh, thank you, Timothy.
If I
Um,
could
Mr.
clarify one point that Paul
Okay, go
mentioned,
ahead, Frank.
just for the commission, the meter areas that Paul was identifying is on the ends of these portions here. They are meter areas, so we have a gas meter area and electric meter area. They will be fully screened and enclosed with gate access so that there will be no visible meters on the perimeters of the building to maintain aesthetics of the buildings.
Yeah, there's actually a brick wall there. You can see the L shape. The wrought iron looking gate is only like 4 feet wide. So you can close it off, but the electrical company or the gas company can still get in there if necessary.
Commissioner Woods, did that answer some, if not all, or make you think of any other questions in regards to?
It did, and just to be clear, I mean, I had the opportunity to review these, and I see most of this stuff as I review the plans, but the public doesn't, and this is their opportunity for you to kind of sell this project. So that's why I'm asking you to really get into the detail. I think you've done a nice job, I'll be honest with you. I think it looks very, very good. But I just wanted to get a little bit of that put on the table so that people can hear that, we're asking the right questions. And I think you've done a really good job. I like the way that you're hiding the meter pits. Instead of doing a temporary fence, you got a brick wall going up. That's going to be permanent. It's going to last 20, 25 or 30 years instead of a fence possibly being there for 5 or 6 years and falling down and maybe getting put back up, maybe not. There's a lot of nice touches on the building. And I wish you luck. And I think you've done a good job. Thank you.
All right.
Well, I appreciate, if I may say, I appreciate that, Commissioner Woods. I could talk a long time about this, but I don't think you want me to.
Yeah, you don't need to go on for hours and hours, but I think you did a great job. This way here, somebody listening, whether it be tonight or they sign on to this meeting in a day or two, they can kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Woods. I did going to go in order. I see that Commissioner Droz had a hand up, and feel free to ask your question.
I appreciate it, Vice Chair. Thank you. Quick question in regards to one of the presenters had mentioned a discussion of snow plowing and snow storage. I'm seeing a couple of different views. The print that I was given is from January 25th, and it shows 4 different snow storage areas, 2 on each of the southernmost corners, 1 large one, that island in the middle there. Yeah, right there. Perfect. Thank you. Kind of looks like that double mushroom in the middle there. And then one on the, exactly. The print I have shows a tree on each of the corners. Then you've got the light posts, it looks like, on each end. And obviously you've got cars on either side. Each of the southern corners have a light post on the apex of the turns. So my only question was going to be, who did we discuss this with from a snow storage aspect? Because all your street view drawings show you're beautiful. I mean, I love the drawings. I love the design. It looks gorgeous. So kudos to that. But they show smaller plantings at ground level. So with as tight as that parking lot is, what was going to be the long-term plan for snow that wasn't going to reduce parking spaces?
Frank, could I say something? If you're talking about the 3-dimensional renderings, we hire a professional renderer, and they don't necessarily follow the landscape plan in their renderings. So they take some artistic license with the 3D renderings, but so that's not an accurate representation. It's an artist's representation. If that's what you're looking at, I just wanted to make that point.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's one thought process, but basically it was going to come down to you were going to put all of the snow from the entire lot into those 4 spots.
For the entire lot. So the courtyard area, any of the ground plantings have been specifically engineered to be able to withstand any snow storage. Now I recognize that the snow storage for this entire area cannot go in these 3 spots. So we have allocated the lower portion of the lot over here to be also utilized for some of the snow storage for this area, as well as portions of the eye-shaped island here. The plantings that are represented in the middle here, again, the low brush plantings are all substantial, are all specifically engineered to be able to withstand snow storage, with the exception of the evergreens, but the evergreens are in the center of the island and they will withstand whatever is placed there.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Excuse me. Thank you. Commissioner Gill, you had your hand up.
Yes. In regards to the addresses here, showing here is 2 different addresses. Is that going to be the 2 different buildings are going to have different addresses?
I believe in coordination with the surveyor on the property, there were originally 2 parcels in this spot. It was 227 Payne and then 253 Miceli. There has been a lot combination and there will now be a single lot. And this was designed to be a single lot. The buildings themselves will be designated as presumably an A building and a B building, but we are not designated. We have not designed this to be separate lots at this time.
Okay, so the suggestion is to have 1 address for the site. Is that possible, or?
Yes, that is the intent. Tim, presumably it's going to be 227. I don't know if you have that information.
Listen, I always like 1 address. The different states and municipalities have different rules, and post offices sometimes have different rules. 1 address would be wonderful. And then a designation of the building, of an A building or an east and a west. But it's something we have to look into and clear.
If I can just, that's typically coordinated through the town engineer. He assigns addressing in Newington. So you can coordinate that with Gary when you get to that point.
Excellent.
Okay. And then I see you have a sign, a site sign listed here.
The monument sign and the details?
Yes.
That monument sign is technically a placeholder. However, what I want to reiterate to the commission is that the site sign will be designed in accordance with the regulations. So it will have the 75-foot and 75-foot square foot on either side, max 150 square foot. The placeholder is to represent an idea of what the scaling of the sign would look like, but the finalized design of the sign has not been finalized yet, and that we will end up going in front of the commission for the sign for whatever is finally determined to be used for the sign.
Right, that's a separate.
It's not a regulation to have the address of the building on the sign, but I would like to see that.
That can be addressed when they present it, Commissioner Gill, which comes later in this doesn't even deal with that right now for this. I agree with what you're saying. I agree. I think that the sign in its future should incorporate the address for visibility for all parties.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions from the commissioners in regards to this petition that we've been discussing, or Eric, have anything?
I don't see anyone with their hand raised on the site plan specific.
Okay.
Questions?
No objection. Excuse me, Mr. Woods, I see your hand pop back up. Commissioner Woods?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I was just going to say, I was going to make a motion to close petition 04-22 and move it to old business for possible action.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second by Commissioner Schuster.
Thank you. I have a second. I would like to get a roll call vote. Noreen?
Commissioner Haggerty,
Yes.
Commissioner Havens,
Yes.
Commissioner Linares,
Yes.
Commissioner Trister,
Yes.
Commissioner Woods,
Yes.
Commissioner Drowse,
Yes.
Chairman Claffey.
Yeah.
You have a unanimous vote.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
With that said, we will move on to bring back, let me just see something. Hold on one second. I'd like to bring back Chairman Payne for the time being for some old business. And then again, we will modify the chairman and vice chairman again. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Claffey. I appreciate it. Next thing on the agenda is
One thing, Chairman, we'll just have to take off.
Yep, Commissioner Droz will be sitting as an alternate. Thank you. Then the next petition, if I could have Commissioner Linares read petition 0322 of old business.
Petition 03-22, special permit, section 3.2.1 to allow a church at 425 New Britain Avenue, applicant and contact Shirley Navarre as owner, Newington Tie. Once again, Mr. Chairman, this was the application that I had to recuse myself for. I can continue to read it if you want me to, unless someone else is going to have to read it again in its entirety.
No, I'm sorry, just that portion is fine. And Commissioner Linares is going to recuse himself on this application. And at this time, I will sit Commissioner Gill for this. And I will ask if Commissioner Gill, would you like to continue to read petition 0322? The motion.
Okay, petition 0322, special permit, section 3.2.1 to allow a church at 425D New Britain Avenue, applicant and contact Shirley Navarre's owner, Newington Tie LLC. Move to approve the special permit for a church at 425D New Britain Avenue. Reason for approval. As proposed, this application meets the special permit requirements as in section 5.2 of the regulation.
Now we have a motion made by Commissioner Gill. Do I have a second?
Second, Vice Chairman Claffey.
Seconded by Vice Chairman Claffey. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Noreen, could you do a roll call vote, please?
Yep. Commissioner Claffey,
Yes.
Commissioner Haggerty,
Yes.
Commissioner Havens,
Yes.
Commissioner Trister,
Yes.
Commissioner Woods,
Yes.
Commissioner Gill. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Commissioner Gill
Yes.
and Commissioner Drowse.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next petition under old business is petition 51-21, a zoning text amendment, section 7.4.6 to modify the driveway site plan design standards, applicant and contact Newington Town Planning and Zoning. At this time, Commissioner Linares could be reseated and Commissioner Gill will be an alternate. If there's no questions from the commissioners, I would entertain a motion from someone on this.
I'll read it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Woods.
Petition 51-21 zoning text amendment, section 7.4.6 to modify the driveway site plan design standards, applicant and contact Newington TPZ. Move to approve the regulation amendment with an effective date of March 8th, 2022. Reason for the approval: the proposed regulation amendment clarifies the design standards for driveways for site plans.
A motion made by Commissioner Woods. Do I have a second?
Second, Commissioner.
Seconded by Commissioner Havens. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, without any objection, I'll have Noreen, if you could do a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Claffey,
Yes.
Commissioner Haggerty,
Yes.
Commissioner Havens,
Yes.
Commissioner Linares,
Yes.
Commissioner Trister,
Yes.
Commissioner Woods,
Yes.
Chairman Payne.
Yes,
Unanimous.
thank you very much, Noreen.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
Mr. Chair, I forgot to include the effective date of this regulation amendment. May I ask that the motion be amended to include the effective date of February 22nd? Oh,
Okay.
no, that's
That's fine with me, Mr.
March
Chairman.
8th. I'm sorry, that's today, March
Yes.
8th.
It is on there.
okay. So it is on there, March 8th. Is that acceptable to the motion, Commissioner
Yeah, but
Woods?
that's how I read it, so I
It's,
think it's fine.
it's
Yeah.
already there. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I missed it.
No problem. Okay, very good. Okay, the next thing on old business is petition 0422, special permit, section 3.19.2, an associated site plan to allow a residential development in the PD's zone at 227 Payne Road and 253 Miceli Road. Applicant and contact Timothy Hensy, owner, White Birch Crossing. At this time, I'll recuse myself as I did earlier, and I will turn the meeting over to Commissioner Vice Chairman Claffey. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner or Chairman Payne. At this moment, I'd like to seat Commissioner, Drouds. Yeah, you, Stuart, excuse me. Seat him back in as a voting member. Like to see if there's a motion on the table.
Read the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Please, Commissioner Woods.
Petition 04-22, special permit, section 3.19.2, an associated site plan for a residential development in the PD, in the PD zone at 227 Payne Road and 253 Miceli Road. Applicant and contact Timothy Hensy, owner, White Birch Crossings LLC. Move to approve the special permit and associated site plan at 227 Payne Road and 253 Miceli Road with conditions as in the town engineer's comments in letters dated 2/16/2022 and 2/23/2022 and comments from the fire marshal. Reason for the approval: as proposed, this application meets the specific permit requirements in section 3.19.2 and 5.2 of the regulations, and site plan requirements in section 5.3 of the regulations.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Seconded by Haggerty.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'd like to take a roll call vote. Noreen?
Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Commissioner Haggerty,
Yes.
Commissioner Havens,
Yes.
Commissioner Linares,
Yes.
Commissioner Trister,
Yes.
Commissioner Woods,
Yes.
Commissioner Droz,
Yes.
Chairman Claffey.
Yes.
You have a unanimous vote.
Thank you. At this time, I would like
You're
to
welcome.
bring back Chairman Payne and Commissioner Drowse will be removed and be acting as an alternate.
I'll just, Vice Chairman Claffey, I'll just have to ask the town planner, is there something for the site plan that has to be approved too now or not?
Both of them.
Yeah, I think we did both of them, Dominic, in one motion.
In the motion, it was both, Dominic.
Oh, okay, very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is petitions for public hearing scheduling, and I'll turn it over to Renata to see if she has anything to comment on that.
So we have a couple of things on a scheduling agenda. We are scheduling a restaurant that is proposed at 85 Kitts Lane. We have an application for a residential development. This is an open space subdivision that is proposed. It's on essentially off of like Church Street area, but it is also out, the access is kind of off of
Rock Hall Lane.
Rock Hall Lane, right? And there is that, and then we have, I'm looking at this. This is also the proposal for development in Culver Street that's scheduled for the hearing coming up as well. So we have these three things coming up all in March. If you look at the future agenda that's posted online, so first meeting in March, we will have the zoning regulation amendment that is proposed for the PD zone. That is a petition that came by a town residents. It's submitted by town residents. The restaurant proposal, and then there is a site plan modification, a small site plan modification proposed for the Costello Road property that was recently approved by the commission. There is a couple of applications in front of the Conservation Commission, including this open space subdivision is going to be before the Conservation Commission as well. That is scheduled on March 15. Then tentatively on the second meeting in March, we are looking at this open space subdivision proposal, then Culver Street development proposal for special permit and site plan. And then 333 Berlin Turnpike is proposing their site plan. Not site plan, the sign permit, sign permit application. And I'm rolling in this petition for public hearing scheduling right into my town planner's report because I wanted to talk to you about some scheduling, if that's okay with you, Mr. Chair, because it just kind of like fills in my public hearing scheduling stuff to my scheduling period.
Absolutely, no problem, Renata.
So talking about that, I've started preparing revisions to the accessory apartments. We did a couple of special meetings on that, and we decided we were gonna do that. So I started drafting proposed amendment to the accessory apartment regulations. I plan on submitting that application. I'm hoping to be able to submit that in early March. If I am able to do that before first meeting in March, we might have a hearing on the regulation amendment in first meeting in April. If we hold a hearing on the first meeting in April on revisions to the accessory apartments, that gives us just about enough time to hold hearing in front of the Planning Commission for the opt-out, which I really suspect, once you looked at the accessory apartments, we are very likely to still then after that hold hearings for the opt-out provisions in May. And then that again sets us to have hearings with town council for the opt-out process in June. Hopefully by July, late July, we should have adopted accessory apartments revised regulations, and hopefully we will be finished with the opt-out process by late July. Provided, everything goes smoothly and we don't have, it's all dependent on how many hearings we have and what other things we have on the agenda. But with that in mind, I would really hope if I'm done with that by like late July, then we can focus on some other things and maybe get some other also important projects that we can work on. So that is my most immediate agenda. I'm also working on that character. I told you that I was gonna come to you with some proposed perhaps language for the character of the neighborhood. So I have drafted some preliminary language on that, and I'm going to bring that to you for the first preliminary discussion and review at the first meeting in March. So we will start looking into that, and that could be tied into ultimately the whole accessory apartments and opt-out process, because it just makes sense to talk about those two things together. So we'll have that kind of like a parallel process. So that is my report. I will end it there.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Renata. And the town planner has included, before I go into the communications, do any of the commissioners have any questions concerning Renata's report? Is there any questions for our town planner? Okay, hearing none. The next thing on the agenda is communications. She has provided us with the CROG letters. Do we have any questions concerning those before I go to public participation? Hearing none, and I don't see any hands up. At this time, I'll go to the public participation. If there's anybody from the public wishing to speak, please raise your hand.
No one has their hand raised at the moment.
Oh, Gail.
Yep.
All right.
Gail Drake, 21 Isabel Terrace. This is just a question. When Renata said that something about an open space subdivision, can someone just explain what that is, please? Thank you.
Yep, no problem. I'll have the town planner address that.
So under our zoning regulations, we have certain provisions that in certain zoning districts, we allow subdivisions that are called essentially an open space subdivisions. So for example, you're allowed to have a subdivision that's in R20 zone at R12 densities. So you can have smaller lots and smaller frontage requirements as long as you dedicate certain amount of space as an open space. It's essentially like clustering the lots certain way and dedicating certain amount of land as an open space. So that's what it is. It's a provision of our zoning regulation that specifically regulates that kind of development and requires a special permit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Renata. Is there any other questions from anybody from the public?
Doesn't appear so.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to remarks by commissioners. If there's any commissioners that have any remarks, now would be the time. Hearing none, I'll go to closing remarks. I want to thank everybody and thank the staff and thank Vice Chairman Claffey for doing a fantastic job running the meeting. If there's no objection, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made by Commissioner Woods. Do I have a second?
Chairman Claffey, Vice Chairman Claffey.
seconded by
Went to his head.
Mr. Vice Chairman Claffey. Thank you very much. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Opposed?
everyone.
Opposed? Good night. Good night, everybody, and thank you, staff.
Good night.
Good night,
Night
everybody.
all. All right, let's see, stop recording.